What's up guys, Murray here with Murray's Mobile Mechanics and welcome to the channel. So today I'm working on the 2015 Jeep Grand Cherokee. This is the 3.6. If you follow my channel, this is the one we did the oil cooler. It's still holding after a year. So today we are doing a radiator replacement. So let me show you how that is done. So that's the vehicle right there. This is a V6 3.6 liters engine, I believe so. You can see right there. 3.6, that's the engine size, and it's a V6. So the first thing we're going to do is make sure the car has been parked for a long time and it's cold to touch. The first thing we're going to do is take off the radiator cap like so. This is going to help us drain the coolant faster, and this car is leaking. You can see right there the radiator is leaking, and that's why we are replacing it. So right now the first thing we're going to do is drain the coolant. The drain plug for the coolant is that red plug right there. Let me see if I can focus. We are going to open that, but before we do that, we are going to take off that bottom plastic cover. You can see right there, that's the first one we're going to take out. I think it's got about 2 or 3 bolts. We'll figure out or see how many bolts are holding that. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take off these clips. You can see I put them up already just to speed up the process. I use this door panel too. There should be 11 of them. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I'm gonna take those out and then the bottom one, and then we go from there. So after taking the plastic tabs, we're going to take off this weather strip. It goes all the way around like so. So I believe it's got locking tabs that hold it down there. So we'll start taking those out and then we'll move to the plastic cover. So once you take the locking plastic tabs, you can take the weather strip off the way just like so. So after taking the weather strip out, there's 2 more plastic tabs. There's one here and one there. So we'll take those out and then we are going to take off the plastic covers. So once we take that out, let's go check out what comes out next. What's up guys, so I created some room to crawl under the vehicle. You can see I lifted the car on the driver's side. There's a jack and the jack stand, safety first, so that we can access this plastic cover at the bottom. So let me set myself up and then we go from there. What's up guys, so right now I'm at the bottom. There's a 10mm bolt right here holding this plastic cover. There's another 10mm bolt here, another one right here, and right here we have a plastic clip. So we'll start with those. We'll start with the plastic clip. And then at the bottom, at the back, we got 2 30mm bolts, one here and one there. We use a 30mm socket and the impact wrench. And we can take this plastic cover off. I think there's some more bolts on the sides. There's one right here. I don't know if you're able to see it. There's one right here, that's a 10. So we'll take that out, and it's going to be the same with the other side. So I'm going to take off the other side and this cover should actually just come off. So now that the cover is out, we are going to locate our drain port, and then we'll go ahead and start draining this radiator. What's up, guys? So to drain the radiator, I'm going to use a bunch of tin foils so that I don't actually cause a spill. So I'm going to go ahead, set myself up, and then we start draining this radiator. So that's our draining port for the radiator. So I'll go ahead and just open it. We'll let the radiator drain, and then we'll pick it up from there. So while the radiator is draining, we are going to take off this or loosen this hose clamp right here. We'll use a flathead screwdriver, and then we are going to take off this engine cover. It's just held by 4 rubber grommets. Just pull it, and we'll put it on the side, and then we are going to disconnect this sensor right here. There's a red tab, just pull it and then pull the sensor out. We're also going to loosen this clamp right here from the throttle body. We'll use a flathead screwdriver or the 8mm socket, and then once this is out, we are going to take off all this air hose out of the way so that we can create room for what else needs to come out from here. So while this is draining, we'll go ahead and start doing that. So I believe there's a rubber grommet right here. You have to use a bit of force, and then it comes off just like so. What's up, guys? So I forgot to mention, so when I was pulling this car in the driveway, I discovered that the engine check light is on, and these are the codes that I did pull. We got the P0420 catalyst efficiency bank 1, and then we got the TPM sensor codes. So it's just always good to be observant, and then check your working environment and check whatever is going on with the vehicle you're working on. So for instance, this car came for the radiator replacement, but the engine check light was on. Make sure you check the codes so that you cover your tracks. So I forgot to mention this when I was actually starting doing the work. So we'll let the customer know about this, and again, it's just good for you so that when you finish doing the work, you don't get spooked by after doing a radiator replacement and now you got the P0420. So just always cover your tracks, be observant, and check your work. So right now, after taking the air knuckle out, which is that one right there, this is how we are looking. You can see now we got plenty of room to work with. So this side, there's 2 10mm bolts right there. You come this side, there's 2 more, and then if you look right there, there's another 10mm bolt. There's a plastic clip holding the washer fluid reservoir, and then another 10mm bolt holding the AC line right here. I believe this side we have 8mm bolt holding the coolant reservoir. So we are going to disconnect this coolant line, and then we're going to separate from there. So we are going to pull this plastic. I believe there's a bunch of bolts right here because we have to take off this metal bracket to access the radiator. So right now you can see our radiator is actually dripping, and then if you look right here, we got 2 small screws holding the cooling fan. There's one there, there's one also right here. We're also going to disconnect the electric fan connector right here so that once we do that, we're able to pull the radiator fan. You can see the tabs right here on top, and then at the bottom the same this side. So let me do that, and then I'll bring you guys back. So for the radiator reservoir, it's an 8. And there's another one right here, but we'll leave that one just the way it is. We're also going to disconnect this reservoir hose off the radiator, and then this side we are going to use our 10mm socket. We'll start with the AC line right here. We'll put our bolt back so that we don't lose it, and then we got 2 10mm bolts right here. For the washer fluid reservoir, there's a plastic clip right there. What's up, guys? So once you pull this plastic cover for the grill, you can see there's an 8mm bolt right there. There's one right there, and then there's a horn bolt right there. If you come here, there's another one right there. I don't know if you're able to see. There's one right there. There's also another one right there. So we're also going to disconnect this wiring for the hood latch. We'll disconnect it from right there, and then we're also going to route off this cable for the hood latch, and then there should be another bolt right there, another one right there, and then let's do that and then we get going. What's up, guys? So after you take off pretty much everything, it's time to take off this metal bracket on top right here. So right now all we gotta do is, first of all, this is how we are looking after taking off that metal bracket on top. What we're gonna do right now is disconnect the electric fan, press on the tab right here, and then press it and then pull it, and then we are going to disconnect the lower radiator hose from the bottom, and then we're going to disconnect the upper radiator hose from the top, and then we'll take off these two 8mm screws, and then we'll take the fan off. So let me do that and then I'll bring you guys back. For the upper radiator hose, since it's on the side, we are going to use this radiator hose clamp. That's the one we're going to use. At the bottom, we'll either use this same clamp or we're going to use a pliers. So let me start with the top and then we'll go from there. So before we go to the radiator hoses, we'll start taking off the electric fan. So all we do is, you see these tabs, you have to press it like so to create room for this guy to slide up. Let me show you. See, just like so. And we're going to do the same this side, and then we can actually, once those two have cleared the way, you can actually lift up the electric fan. So let me do that and then we'll go from there. Now, since we got the fan off the way, it's time to take the radiator hoses. We'll start with the top one. So my pliers, the radiator hose pliers not working properly. So let me find the needle pliers to take that hose out, and then we go from there. Since the room on this side is pretty much slim, we'll take it off from right there, and then we are going to pull off the radiator together with the hose, and then we'll change that hose when the radiator is out, switch it to the new one. So let me do that and then I'll bring you guys back. And now we'll switch the bottom one and then we go from there. And now we are at the bottom. We'll go ahead and just use our pliers. So for the bottom one, you gotta be ready. Definitely there's gonna be some spill. Make sure you got your tin foil to catch your coolant. So there's gonna be an electric wire connected to the radiator. All you have to do is get your door panel tool and just go in between like so, and then you can take that out, and now this radiator should be good to go. So let me set myself up. We pull the radiator out. What's up, guys? So I want to point out something. So the AC condenser on the passenger side, it will sit on that bracket right there, and on the driver's side the same on that bracket right there. So once you get to a point where you want to take the radiator out, you find it not to move, so just raise your condenser and it will separate from the radiator. So we got the radiator out. We are going to switch the hose to the new radiator. We're also going to switch these radiator bushings to the new one. So let me go pick up the new radiator and then I'll bring you guys back. What's up, guys? So I got the new radiator and we got the old one right there, and that's the part number right there, courtesy of AutoZone. It's a Duralast brand, lifetime warranty. So what we are going to do is we are going to take off these rubber bushings at the bottom, and we're going to switch them to the new radiator right there. It's gonna be the same process with the top bushings. I might need 2 hands. We'll switch those from the old radiator to the new radiator, and then we'll also switch this upper radiator hose from the old radiator to the new one. So let me do that and then I'll bring you guys back. What's up, guys? So you see we got the new, not pretty much new, but we switched the lower radiator bushings onto the new radiator. We switched the upper ones as well, and then the upper radiator hose. So once you get to this point, putting this radiator back in the vehicle is pretty much the reversal. So I'm going to do that off camera and I'll bring you guys back once everything is connected. What's up, guys? So this is the coolant that we are using, OEM coolant, and you can see right now the radiator is back in. The radiator hoses are put back at the bottom right there. You can see it's also connected. So what I'm gonna do at this point, I'm gonna fill up the radiator with coolant, and then we'll check for leaks before we put everything back together. And then you discover you have a leak, and then you have to take a lot of things apart. So at this point, I'll fill up the vehicle with coolant. We check for leaks. What's up, guys? So it's been a couple minutes. You can see the radiator is full, and we look at the lower hose right there, we got no leak. We look at the upper hose right there, we got no leak. So right now we'll go ahead and put everything back together and then we go from there. What's up, guys? So we got the electric fan back on and connected right there. We also have this upper plastic cover connected with the 2 screws, one there and one right there. What's up, guys? So the top bracket is back on, or the bolts lined up, just a matter of securing them. So I just want to point out, so these 2 on this coolant reservoir, they are 8. There's one here and there's one right there on the side. These 2 on the top are 10s. On the other side they are 10s as well. These 2 for the bracket, they are 13s. There's one there and one right there. And then for the hood latch, these are 8s as well. There's one right there. Let me get it right so that we see what we're talking about. So these are 13s, these are 8, and that's the 8 right there. That's another 13 right there. So you can see our hood latch cable is secured. You can see right there and right there, they are secured. So what's remaining is tightening the bolts. If you look right there, we got it for the hood, we got a 10mm for the horn. I mean, we got a 10mm bolt right here, and we got another one right here. The same this side. For the horn, we got a 10mm bolt right there, and then this side we have another 10. All I need to do is secure the electric wire, and then we're going to plug that connector right there. So let me secure those, and then we go from there. What's up, guys? So you can see everything is secured right now. Every bolt is secured. You can see even right there, every bolt on the latch, the connector, everything is good to go. Right now we have to put this grill back on. So if you look down here, you got these tabs, one here and one on this side. They have to come and lock in there. That tab locks in there, and then that tab also locks in there. So I'm gonna do that, and then we put the weather strip and then all the plastic covers and all the clips. So let me do that, and then I'll bring you guys back. What's up, guys? So everything is pretty much back on. You can see this plastic cover going around. It is put back in place. The weather strip, you can see it is also put back in place. We've also connected our sensor right there. This hose is secured right there on the throttle body, and here on the air filter box. What's remaining is just zip tying this sensor right here for the fuel system, and then put the engine cover back on. Right now I need to actually run the vehicle and bleed the cooling system. That's the setup right there, and the other thing remaining is just the engine cover and that lower bottom cover. So right now I'm gonna run the vehicle. I'll bring you guys back once the fan kicks in to make sure we've bled the cooling system. So let me do that, and then I'll bring you guys back. What's up, guys? So this is the moment I was waiting for. You can see the fan is spinning right there. This tells me that the thermostat has opened and coolant is circulating. So you can see right now it's just stopping, but definitely that's a good sign that your cooling system has been bled. So you can see, make sure there's no too much bubbles coming out of there. And then when we come inside the vehicle, you can see our temperature gauge is slightly below the half mark, which is a good sign. And make sure when you're doing this process, the AC is supposed to be off, but the temperature should be set to the high side, which is, you have to press these buttons up and then AC off, but the fan should be at the high speed. This helps the process to actually bleed the cooling system faster. So you can see right there, we are pretty much just slightly below the half mark, which is a good sign. So pretty much what's remaining on this car is just putting the top engine cover back on, and then the lower cover back on as well. Pretty much that's all it takes to do a radiator on a 2015 Jeep Grand Cherokee 3.5 liters. If you follow my channel, I did the oil cooler on this one, and it's still holding. It's almost a year, and pretty much that's all it takes. If you like the video, you find it informative, give it a thumbs up, and please subscribe, like, and share for more tips on how to fix your vehicles. Marais here with Marai's Mobile Mechanics, signing out. Stay blessed, be good, and we'll see you on the next one.